going on, Trenton Thunder fans? Welcome to 2024's opening day here at Trenton Thunder Ballpark, and welcome to Feel the Thunder, the official Trenton Thunder podcast. I'm John Bodner alongside my co-host Jeff Hurley, and we're here with our director of broadcasting, Mike Warren. Mike, welcome to the front side of the camera.
Very pumped for it. So.
Yeah, year two for you. You're a local guy. You know, it's got to be fun to be the voice of the Thunder. And then go out into the community. You're doing high school games all the time, but then to come to the ballpark. I'm sure you get recognized now at the high school fields of the voice of the Thunder.
Yeah, every once in a while, which is actually pretty humbling and very, very cool. I mean, having the opportunity to cover the local high school kids and then the opportunity to call the Mercer County Tournament Championship game here, it's an honor. And then, as you mentioned, being a hometown kid, I've talked about it before, but my first game was a Trenton Thunder game. My first time throwing out a first pitch was on that mound down there. So to be the voice of the Thunder now and to be where I'm at, I mean, I know a lot of the great broadcasters that have had that position before me, and I don't take it for granted for a second. And it's been just a blessing and really awesome to have this experience representing the Thunder.
Fantastic, Mike. We're excited for another season here. Here we are on opening day. A lot of buildup has gone into the off season. This front office staff has worked really hard. Feels like we've been anticipating this date forever, and it's finally here. When I just say opening day, what does that make you feel? What does it bring to your mind? What are the emotions that you're going through right now?
I think the first thing is just instant energy. When you hear opening day, I mean, we're reminded that we get to see all of our great fans again in the ballpark. We say it all the time, but I saw it firsthand last year. We truly have the best fans in baseball. Our season ticket holders are some of the most faithful, reliable people, and they stop by the booth, they say hello, they test me on Thunder trivia, which is really cool, and I very much appreciate and enjoy. But the excitement and the energy around the ballpark, that's the one thing that, we're here. We're doing all the work. We're getting ready to go for opening day. And then when it finally comes, the smiling faces, the noises, the smells of the ballpark, when they all come to life, I think that's what stands out the most. It's the overall energy that comes with, once those gates open, it's a whole new ball game, it's a whole new season, and we just can't wait to get it rolling.
So I mentioned year two. Come 7 o'clock tonight, will there be any pregame jitters that go through your system?
There's always pregame jitters. There's never not a broadcast where I'm not nervous. I get excited. I get the same energy as if it was the first time I ever put on a headset. And honestly, it's grown since I've been here. Like I've talked about the history with me and my family coming to Trenton Thunder games, and now that my parents come to watch the games as well, but they're also coming and they listen in the concourse level if they can, and at the suite level when they come to games, and it's a very cool experience. And definitely we'll be nervous before we go on the air for opening night, but once that opening billboard starts, voiced by Jeff Hurley over here, we get fired up, we get locked in and ready to go, and we're excited for the Thunder pregame show tonight for sure.
There's a lot of, baseball players are superstitious. They go through their routines. Do you have any superstitions when it comes to the radio booth? And are there any unique things that you do on game day to make sure you're prepared and ready to go?
I would say my one routine or ritual here specifically is, before the national anthem starts, I just kind of take a moment to look from behind home plate and look out onto the field and, see the baselines filled with players and the American flag flying and all of the fans to their feet for the first time of that night. You remember all the work that you put in to get to this point, and all the games that you called before you got to this level, and it makes me appreciate it that much more. And then on top of it, having the great fans that we do and the energy that they bring, I feel it come out of me when I'm on the air. So it's really it's great, and it's an honor. And my superstition is just being in the moment. That's really it. I try my best to be myself, be in the moment, and just do that. Just be myself and enjoy what is happening in front of me. So that's as superstitious as I get. I'm not superstitious. I am a little stitious.
Going on your second year now. I mean, last year, first year with the Thunder, first year broadcasting on air. What's the difference between last year and now coming in and your second year? You're a little bit more comfortable with the Thunder organization and doing your homework. What's the difference between last year and this year?
I think more than anything, it's just, taking my game to the next level, taking what I can bring to the table to the next level, and whether that's making sure a sponsor is incorporated into the broadcast in a different way, or being able to tell these guys' story in a way that I wasn't able to do last year. We got a new team, new faces. Our fans don't know a lot of them yet, and it's my job to make sure that our fans know who is representing the Trenton Thunder. And I take a lot of pride in that, and I enjoy being able to get to know these guys as baseball players, but also as human beings. There's a story behind every single guy that's down in that clubhouse, as you know, and like I said, it's my job to tell it. So this year, the biggest change is just being able to take that next step as a broadcaster, being the ultimate informant on the air, knowing that if you don't know the answer, you need to know it and you need to figure it out. If it's not there for that broadcast, having it for the next one, those are the kind of the things that I've really been focusing on this year to take my game to the next level, but also give our listeners and our fans what they deserve, the knowledge that they deserve about the Trenton Thunder.
Mike, a lot of preparation goes into, your line of duty and what you do on a day-to-day basis. You're not just sitting back and watching a baseball game, watching 9 innings. What's something that fans don't realize, the dedication that goes into what you do? Like, I'm sure, there are so many people out there like, oh, I wish I could be a broadcaster,
sure,
or,
yeah,
I could do that, or, they're sitting at their TV and, and they're doing it themselves. But what's something that, like, the behind the scenes of what you do on a day-to-day basis that, like, the average fan doesn't realize?
I think, like, the biggest thing is just that, you're a one-man band. You do everything in that radio booth. So I'm editing my own commercials. I'm making sure the sound quality is good. I'm making sure I get to commercial break and back from commercial break promptly and on time, so we're not missing any game action. So you really have to have a lot of different tools. You have to be as well versed behind the scenes as you are in front of the microphone or in front of a camera, so to speak. It's really just being able to understand that if you don't have it, it's on you to have it. It's on you to make sure you have your commercials and you have the timing down to produce your own game. I think that's something that, in my previous games that I've done, I've had a producer with me. Here last year, getting essentially, kind of thrown into the fire, if you will, but that's how you learn. That's how you get that experience. And I had to, from the start, I have my iPad connected to my mixer up there, able to produce my own games. That is something that it's not easy, but I take a lot of pride in, like I said, and we're able to do so at a decent level. So it's one of those things that you definitely have to learn once you get the position, for sure.
And you've called games solo. You've called it with a partner. Yeah. Obviously there's been famous duos at the major league level. There's been famous singles at the major league level. Walk us through the difference between the two. I remember interviewing Tom McCarthy a couple of years back, and his challenges of having multiple partners, John Kruk, Ben Davis, Ruben Amaro, each of them having a different feel. Right. You've welcomed different people into the box before. What challenges do you face? I have to imagine calling a game solo is difficult, but I also have to imagine there's difficulties with a broadcast partner, and also one that you may not be familiar with.
Sure, yeah. So there's, like you said, there's a lot of moving parts to that. First, calling a game by yourself, the way I treat it, I kind of act like I'm calling the game and my dad is sitting in the booth with me. So I'm kind of just bouncing thoughts off of him and acting as if he is, I guess, responding, so to speak, but I'm speaking as if he's in the room and I'm explaining the game to him, or I'm talking to one person. That's kind of the approach that I take when I'm calling a game by myself. When I'm with somebody else, it's tough. From time to time, you go from a different person, so to speak, in the color commentary role, but the one thing, I try to keep it as conversational as possible. If I know something that is their strong suit, I try my best to tee them up for that as much as possible. I try to make sure that they're in a position to do just as well as I'm putting myself in a position to do. So that aspect of the broadcast I enjoy very much so. I love having somebody in the booth with me. Yeah, it definitely takes a little bit of time to get to know their style, and just like mine, they have to get to know, when I'm finishing a word or letting something ride out for a little bit. But I think you saw it last year when I had Cole Weintraub in the booth. We were able to build a really good chemistry together. He'll be back for a little bit at times this season. I'm really excited to have Tommy McCarthy in the booth with us this season as well. He'll actually be coming through the month of June for the time being, and we're really looking forward to that. As you mentioned, of course, Tom McCarthy, his dad, the radio booth's named after him. So just having that storyline with him in the booth with me as well is something I'm really looking forward to. And It's a tough balance, but it's a lot of fun. At the end of the day, you're describing the action of a baseball game, and you got to remember that. And you got to remember, what it took to get there, but just appreciate it and enjoy it and do your best to depict the action to our listeners at home. That's my job.
You mentioned the booth being named after Tom McCarthy, you being a local kid, coming to games as growing up. But what's it mean to you to be in the Tom McCarthy radio booth, and not just to have Tom as part of our history, but you have Andy Freed and a number of other broadcasters that are currently Greg Caserta being in the big leagues calling games right now. What's that mean to you?
Man, it means the world, honestly, Jeff. I mean, first and foremost, a special shout out to Greg Caserta, because I wouldn't be here without him. We had a connection years back, networking wise, and he's just always been in my corner and always been a helpful hand for me to grow in this industry. Ironically enough, the first piece of broadcasting advice I ever got was actually from Tom McCarthy, and it was here. My dad, a couple years ago, used to run a home run derby here for the Jimmy V Foundation, and Tommy competed in it one year. So as part of that, we asked if Tom wouldn't mind coming out to speak with everybody afterwards at the luncheon. And I went right up to Tom, and I was 17 years old, and I remember I said, Tom, what do you recommend for somebody that wants to do what you do someday? And he told me, you need to be as well-rounded as you are behind a camera as you are in front of it. You need to know everything. You need to be experienced and understand that what you don't know is what you need to know next. And from that point on, I started asking myself, how do I put myself in a position to get to where Tom McCarthy is? How do I do that? And I was lucky enough to, go to school for sports broadcasting. But that encouragement and that advice that Tom gave me that day, I remember it every single time I walk into his radio booth in there, because I wouldn't be here without it. And I haven't had much contact with Tom since then, but I'll be sure that when I do, to let him know that he's a large part in why I'm where I'm at now as well, because those words, man, I can close my eyes and I can see him looking at me, telling them to me that day. And like I said, it stuck with me. So it's a great honor. It's a privilege, and it's something that every single day when I walk in here, I'm sure you guys can kind of see it on my face when I come in. I don't really like to hide my energy too much, as you guys know, but I am thrilled every single time I walk through the door to come in here, because it's the best team atmosphere and it's a great environment. And the fact that I get to describe baseball in a stadium that is one of the best in the world, it's amazing for me. And
it's a huge help for those 8 a.m. tar pools, I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Love them, man.
Energy there.
I love them. Let's get it going.
You might be the only one. It's helpful.
So we talked about, we're here. It's opening day. We've had the opportunity now to speak to the majority of our coaching staff.
Yeah.
Obviously, Adonis being elevated to the managerial role this year. We've gotten to talk with him. We had the opportunity to talk with Sean Chacon, our pitching coach, Matt Sweeney, our fourth coach, to kind of get the insight from a coaching standpoint. But as a broadcaster, obviously you deal with Adonis on a day-to-day basis. You had the opportunity to work with Jeff Manto last year. But from your experiences and your point of view with working with Adonis, what has you excited about him being elevated into the managerial role?
I think, Adonis, first and foremost, what he brings is a certain energy that it's got a great mix of what we got with Manto beforehand, with, the old school energy mixed with a new school type of feel, where he's able to talk to these guys in a certain way where their ears perk up, where they kind of look and he gets their attention very quickly. I mean, I saw that yesterday in the first team meeting with these guys. So there is a clear energy and a passion that he has for baseball, and it shows. And I mean, I believe it was in his first words that he said, "I want dogs." And that alone gets me fired up, because that's what you can expect out on this field, is that they're going to compete. They're going to bring high energy, and Adonis is going to get the most out of these guys. And for him to get into this managerial role, it's, as you guys know, he's well deserving. It's a long time coming for him, of course, and we're excited to see what he can bring to the table this year. I mean, last year, making the championship game, winning the first half, I know he is as determined as all get out to carry that over into this year and that same culture into this season as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, the draft league itself has seen a decent amount of turnover, with the managers and the coaching staffs. The Thunder have been fortunate enough to hold on to a lot of our coaches. Yeah. Adonis obviously returning, Shaq returning, and Matt Sweeney, the second half pitching coach last year. They do have that chip on their shoulder coming in. The last time they were on this field, they walked away with a loss. Yeah. thanks to West Virginia.
Yeah, that's something that, the coaches definitely hold close and personal. And I know it's a new group of guys, but the message is received, that this team last year had the talent, had the potential to win it all, to, be the last team celebrating down on the field. And they came up a bit short, but that is the precedent set for these guys this year. It's that, hey, we were right there last year. It's time to finish the job and kind of get that winning track record back and that winning mindset established to start from game one. And you're going to see that tonight. These guys are going to come out firing. I've been talking to guys already, asking them, what excites you the most about this season? And they all say it's all you guys telling us about these great fans that are going to be here, filling the seats, and they're excited to put on a show for our fans.
Yeah, give us your take on just that. A lot of these guys haven't played in front of crowds, 5, 6, 7,000 people strong, which is what we're going to be, over the course of June and into the season. They haven't played this level of baseball with this, caliber of roster. Right. From your perspective, what kind of juice does the clubhouse have right now, as we go into opening night?
They're excited, man. I mean, they're ready to go, as ready as they possibly could be with such a quick turnaround from ending their college season and then, getting in their car, getting on a plane and coming to Trenton and getting established here. These guys are ready to go, and you're going to see a lot of energy out on the field just in terms of what these guys can do and what they're capable of. A lot of high potent bats, a lot of big names in the draft prospect realm that excite a lot of people, not just scouting wise, but you're going to look back on some of these names in a couple years and be like, wow, he played for the Trenton Thunder and I remember seeing him. So be ready for a lot of big names and be ready for a lot of excitement and good quality play on the field for sure.
Over the last couple of weeks, we've been working with the league to put together our player list and working on our opening day roster, and a lot of guys are here now. What excites you most about this initial roster that you see that's going to start play today?
I think the biggest thing is where some of these guys rank on a lot of these publications for prospect rankings. Like Brendan Lawson out of Canada, he's the #1 prospect out of Canada. He's the number 40 overall prospect according to ProspectLive.com. So he's a name that people are going to be watching. He's committed to the University of Florida, a big-time SEC program that it does nothing but produce big names at the next level. So he's somebody that excites me just off the bat. And then Josiah Romeo, he's the 33rd ranked high school senior in North America. He's a great pitcher that's committed to Florida State and expecting to get an opportunity, if he gets to Florida State, to be a two-way there as well. So he's a tremendous athlete. He's got a lively arm. And then, of course, Braden Bergman, he's the number 59 overall prospect according to ProspectLive.com. He's committed to Baylor. His fastball sits at 95 to 97 miles per hour. He's got off speed that falls off the face of the earth and that changes speeds drastically. So those are just a few names that can really get people excited for who you're going to see out on the field and representing the Thunder for sure.
And it's fun, with the turnover that this league sees at the player level. It's fun to see a few faces that are coming back to the organization this year. So what can we expect from those guys? And, what are the expectations, whether it's from the coaching staff, the fans, for a year 2 MLB Draft League player? Yeah,
so I think first and foremost, our guys that are returning, I'd be lying if I said they weren't fan favorites a season ago. Yeah. Colton Becker, Rylan Zaborowski, Cade Udell, and Brenton Fisher. Cade Udell from Villanova, he's carrying over a 16-inning scoreless streak that he established last year in the first half. So he's got a 0.00 earned run average and led the Thunder in wins in the first half from last year. So just speaking with him, he's looking to build on that and to get some eyes on him from that. So he's a name to look out for as well. And then Colton Becker and Rylan Zaborowski, those are two guys that they play their college ball in the state of Ohio. Rylan at Miami and Colton at Morehead State. Colton was a semifinalist for the nation's top shortstop this season, coming off a career year. And Rylan, again, he elevated his batting average. He had a career high average year this year. So those are two guys that resonated with fans at a high level and really performed at a high level. Ryland was the MLB Draft League Hitter of the Week to start the season last year. So week 1, eyes are going to be on him to see if he can do that again. 2 big home runs in the opening week last year, a grand slam at Frederick that really secured his spot as Hitter of the Week in the opening week. So those 4 guys, I mean, they're they're ready to go. I've been in contact with Ryland a little bit via DMs and stuff, and he's been telling me him and Colton are chomping at the bit to get here. They can't wait to put the Thunder uniform back on and play in front of these great fans, as we mentioned before, but they're just trying to take that next step. And they had good years last year, but they want to know, what does it take so that I get those eyes and I get that phone call that I was looking for at the end of last year. And the coaching staff downstairs is going to do what they need to do to make sure that they can put themselves in a position to hopefully get that phone call.
Since this league started in 2021, I think we all agree that it's been a pitcher-driven league. I think most of the success in terms of draftees, along with some performances, have been pitcher-based. Do you see that based on our roster going into the 2024 season, or do you think some of these hitters are going to kind of push those pitchers to say, no, it's the hitter's turn to showcase and see more hitters being drafted this year?
I will say this. I think that each year the league gets more and more talent, and I think it gets more and more balanced with that talent. I don't think this year is more so of a favoring with pitchers versus hitters. I mean, you look down at some of the guys that we have on our team, a name off the top of the head, Ryan Cesarini from St. Joe's. He's a career 386 hitter at St. Joe's in 3 seasons. So this guy is going to make an instant impact on the field just with his experience from the college ranks coming here. He's seen some really good pitching at St. Joe's playing Division I baseball. He's going to see some arms he probably hasn't seen before, but there's an opportunity for a lot of these guys to carve out their identity and their path in this league. I think there's definitely a lot of really good pitchers, but you can't brush over these hitters as well, because a lot of them are professional quality hitters in this league.
A familiar name to the baseball fan, Bryce Grizzolonic,
yes,
son of former major leaguer Mark Grizzolonic. Talk to us a little bit about him and the expectations of, we've seen it before at Trenton Thunder, the Major League Baseball, father, we've seen that here. Now another example on the field.
I think the first thing you're going to see from Bryce, the guys around the clubhouse, they call him Grud. We have a couple Bryces on the roster, so to decipher between the two, he introduced himself as Grud to everybody. And the one thing you're going to see with him is just he's been around a ballpark his whole life. So there's a certain calmness about him and a certain confidence that he has about him that can kind of trickle over into other guys. And he's got a calming yet confident presence that can really help these guys and can really be a leader in a sense for some of these guys. He plays at USC, and it's a big school in the Pac-12. Another great year for him, a plus 300 hitter. Just a guy that, again, he spent time around his dad, who was a 15-year MLB veteran. He's been in and out of pro clubhouses. He understands kind of what is expected of a pro ball player every day. I don't think he'll have any trouble coming in here and getting into a routine, getting settled, and establishing himself as one of those guys that fans can resonate with, that the team can kind of rally around. He's got that type of personality and that type of characteristic where, not that he's been there, done that, but he's really confident in what he can do and what he can bring as a leader and as a player.
So last year around this time, when looking over our roster, there were guys on there that weren't necessarily the highest ranked players that ended up having a major impact. Isaiah Drake, one that comes to mind, Chris Brito, another one that comes to mind. So of the names you haven't mentioned, the top ranked guys, who on the roster kind of excites you, of somebody that could be, this guy's going to shine. He's just a good ball player.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Isaiah Drake and that Georgia Tech connection. We have another Georgia Tech commit on the roster this year, Ira Jeffries-Harris. This is a guy that explosive hands to the ball, hitting-wise, and then in terms of speed, blinding speed. He can really get after it. He ran the 60-yard dash in 6.86 seconds, which a lot of scouts would say is pretty much professional ready already. His versatility in the field, I think, is what separates him from the everyday utility guy. The range that he possesses, along with the arm strength that he has, allows him to go from shortstop to second base unhindered by however much ground he has to cover because of that speed and that arm strength that he has. So that's a guy to watch out for sure. I mentioned the other two guys that are young prospects committed, Josiah Romeo and Braden Bergman. Brendan Lawson committed to Florida as well. This is the first year, I feel like, where 18-year-olds galore and 17-year-olds galore on this Thunder roster to start. A lot of guys coming right from their senior year of high school, trying to bolster those rankings before July when the draft comes. So those are some names just off the bat that you definitely want to watch out for. And when when Ira gets on base, they were going over some of the signs down below when I was on the field during the workout. Just be ready for him to steal some bags, because the look on his face when Adonis was going over signs was, I'm ready. And I'm ready to see him swipe some bags as well.
One guy that we spoke about when the player list came out from a smaller Division I school, but I think someone that's going to excite the Thunder fans and just his playing style, Jackson Strong, played at Canisius. Yes. Tell us a little bit about him and what he's going to bring to the Trenton Thunder for the first half.
Jackson Strong, man. I mean, what he brings, the better question is what doesn't he bring, because he brings so much to the table. He can run the bases at an extremely high level. He finished second this season in NCAA Division I ranks, 42 stolen bases this year. He covers a boatload of ground in the outfield, so expect him in center field for the most part when we see him, and expect him to be filling the alleyways as well, similar to a Colby Johnson a season ago or an Isaiah Drake. They have very similar characteristics where they get to the spot, they've got a strong arm, and you'd be a wise fool to try and run on them on the base paths, I would say. It's kind of tough to get that extra bag on those guys with the arm strength they possess. But Jackson Strong, I mean, hits for average, steals the extra base. When he's on with a single, it's pretty much a double, because he's going to take second base pretty much 9 times out of 10. Be ready for him as well to kind of fly around the base paths and make some explosive plays in the outfield as well. He lays his body on the line for a ball in the outfield.
You mentioned a couple of times these guys coming right from their high school or their college season. Unlike the affiliated level, where these guys have spent months together at spring training before the start of the season, we're right behind us right now is the second team workout and the final team workout before opening night. What type of learning curves are there when you throw a bunch of guys coming from a bunch of different places, talent level, different coaching, and now they're under Adonis's leadership. Does it take that time to gel? Can they, how quickly can they come together as a unit?
I think just from what we saw with last year's team, and again, different group of guys, a lot of different personalities, their ability to gel quickly came in the unseen moments. They were talking with each other during practice. They were trying to pick things up that one guy might be working on, whether it was a bullpen or hitting wise. So there's a lot of opportunity for these guys in a short amount of time to become a tight-knit group. It does take a little bit of time, but it's through the meals, it's through the practices, through the time spent while they're at Ryder that they really come together and understand one another. And just from being down in the clubhouse early on, these guys are very interactive. They want to know what each other's strengths are and weaknesses and how they can help each other out. So, and you're seeing it down with the workouts as well. It's a communicative squad that prides themselves on being professionals and trying to take that next step, and that's what you're going to see with this first half group for sure.
So we're going to have a roster of about 26, 27 guys on opening night, and then throughout the next week or so, we'll start seeing more and more show up as regionals end and things like that. Who are you most excited to see play that isn't going to be here on opening night?
I mean, originally on opening night, he gets here a day later. I'm honestly really excited for Colton Becker. The season that he's coming off of with Morehead State, being in that semifinalist for the best shortstop in the nation, that's not a small deal at all. And just what he brought for a player's perspective, his interaction with the fans and stuff like that. But on the field wise, I'm excited to see him take that next level, because when Manto was working with him last year, the one thing that he said was, the guy's a pro. He's right there. He's a pro. From the way that he addresses things, the way he handles himself, to his approach at the plate, he's a pro. So I'm excited to see him, how he's grown from another full college season, and those words that he got a season ago from Jeff Manto, and coming back here now and still working with Adonis and these guys. What is he able to elevate, and how is he able to do so? I think he's going to do so just fine, and I'm very excited for Colton and Ryland as well to get back here and to see what they can do.
Based on the homework that you've done around the teams around the league, the homework you've done on the Thunder themselves, the draft league has seen more and more success each year, whether it's the number of players getting drafted, the rounds they're getting drafted in, and last year obviously seeing our highest rated player drafted in the third round of the draft. In your professional opinion, do you see that trend continuing into this year?
I really do. I think the amount of talent, like I said, it increases year in and year out, and I think, word of mouth is still a very powerful tool in this day and age, and I think you have a lot of guys that go back to school to start their in-season workouts, and they're saying, "Oh, what'd you do over the summer? I saw you were playing in the draft league. What was that like? I played in the Appy League, or I played in, the Cape Cod League, and I want to know what's the pros and the cons. What are the differences?" And the one thing I think that you hear from everybody is that there is no difference between those leagues because the talent level here can match any of those leagues across. So you're seeing it year in and year out, better pitching, better hitting, even better coaching coming in. Guys want involvement with the draft league. They see how it's growing and the direction it's taking. It's only really a matter of time. I'm surprised if it's not already, but it's a matter of time before everybody is talking about the draft league as the league you need to be in for a prospect.
We've talked a lot about, off the field, what we did in the off season, the behind the scenes things with the Trenton Goldens and the new pork roll uniforms. Have you caught any wind in the locker room of the pink uniforms or the opportunity to put on the Goldens uniform for the first time?
So I haven't seen the new pork roll uniforms in person yet. I am very excited for them because they're fresh. They got a great look to them, and there's something about baseball players. They love to wear pink. I don't know what it is. It's maybe because they don't get to do it as much, but that opportunity to wear pink, a lot of guys love that opportunity. And they, some guys that might have their pant legs down for every game, they're rolling them up for that one to show off the pink socks. So be ready for that as well. But explaining to some of the guys the Goldens aspect of it, the new alternate identity, that got a lot of people fired up because the first thing when players come here, if they know about the Thunder, more times than not, one of the first questions they ask is, "Are the dogs here? And can we meet them?" So they already got to meet Rookie and Dash today. They were running around the clubhouse as well, and a lot of these guys are very amped to represent the Goldens in the first half.
I'll have to say, in the team meeting yesterday, going through a bunch of things, when you got to the Bat Dogs, the ears perked up. Yeah. They woke up a little bit in there, and we were with Adonis and Shaq last week. Talking about the pink pork roll uniforms, and they were talking about their shoes and their socks.
I think Shaq is
the
most excited out of all of them.
Yeah,
So.
They're ready to go.
I'll tell you one thing: our coaches have some of the best drip across the entire league. They swag it out, man. Like I pride myself.
He's speaking
on having,
words I don't understand.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I pride myself on having nice sneakers, and I try to have nice kicks on at all times. Those guys down in the clubhouse, they've got some of the. I try. I try to compete.
Okay.
Do you have your Pork Roll Friday sneakers ready to go? All right.
I got them ready.
Do you have your opening day outfit all?
It's all lined
up. Yeah, he's wearing
it. We're here. We're here. No, but yeah, I got the kicks lined up, ready to go for opening night as well. Had to buy a couple new pairs for the season. But no, our coaches downstairs, man, they got swag. They've got swag, that's for sure.
For a radio guy, he puts a lot of thought into his outfit.
Yeah. You can't see me, but I will describe to you what I'm wearing.
That's what he's
If there's any blowouts in the first homestand, we know exactly where Mike's going.
Yeah.
Talking about the ensemble, of course.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you, setting some time aside to join us here today. Looking ahead to the 2024 season, we've talked about what's going on the field, and we've talked about off the field, the promotions and things that are going on. What excites you the most about this upcoming season?
I think more than anything, it's the Boomer for the People campaign. I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, but being the voice for Boomer for this campaign, it's been a great honor. It's been a lot of fun, and the fact that fans will be able to come to the ballpark all 40 games this summer to bring school supplies that we can then donate to local surrounding schools in the Trenton area, that's a big deal. And having an impact on young students. I remember when we went to Foundation Academy and had our announcement that Boomer was running for president, just having that opportunity to do that for kids. I remember being a kid in school, and when we had an assembly, there was a certain energy around it. So the fact that we were able to do that for those kids, it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to have an impact on our community, as you know very well. I'm looking forward to that, to say the least. And I mean, just seeing all of our fans again. Pork Roll Fridays are always exciting. Dog Wagon Wednesdays, the pet-friendly days, those are always great. But I mean, the Goldens and the Boomer for the People campaign, I'm so excited for that and where that can really go, because Boomer is truly for the people. It's a campaign founded on education. It's for everybody, and I'm voting for him. You should too. I know these guys are voting for him. I mean, what else needs to be said? Boomer for the people 2024. We're rolling. We're excited, and I can't wait for this season. Bring your school supplies all season long. Surrounding students will really appreciate it, and you really are making a difference in somebody's life.
And lastly, Mike, before we let you go, we announced a few days back new home for the Trenton Thunder radio broadcast.
That's right.
Go into that partnership a little bit and where people can listen to you and the broadcast this summer.
Absolutely. So we're proud to continue our partnership with Town Square Media. You can find us this season on NJ 101.5 HD2 feed. So if you have an HD radio in your car, just click that little HD2 button, usually in the top right corner. That's how you'll be able to get our broadcasts all season long. Also download the NJ 101.5 app, and there will be a Trenton Thunder logo in there that you can click that will take you directly to our broadcast as well. Go to the Trenton Thunder website, trentonthunder.com/broadcast for more information. There's a direct link on that site as well. And then I found out recently as well for our friends down at the Jersey Shore, 104.9 in the Atlantic City area, HD3, will have Trenton Thunder baseball on it as well. So we are spreading our coverage. We are just about everywhere in our area that we can be, and really looking forward to this extended partnership with Town Square and now with NJ 101.5.
Your voice is going to be heard all throughout New Jersey.
Pretty nuts. I don't know if everybody's going to like that, but
They're ready. They're going to be ready for it. They better be ready.
Well, fans, make sure you check out Mike and the Trenton Thunder all season long. We are so excited to kick off the 2024 season. Mike, again, thank you so much for joining us as our guest today. But I think that's all we have because I'm starting to get sunburned. We are broadcasting from the Prime Point Club balcony today.
I am sweating.
It is a little warm out here, so before we start sweating through our shirts.
Yes. I think I already have.
Yeah, Mike, thanks so much. We're excited for this year. Thunder fans, make sure to tune in tonight, 7 o'clock for opening night and the start of our 6-game homestand kicking off. The Feel the Thunder podcast, the official podcast of the Trenton Thunder, is produced by Liz Sikorsky and Ben Wolverton and recorded live in Trenton, New Jersey. For information on tickets, promotion, and all things Thunder, visit trentonthunder.com. Subscribe to Feel the Thunder on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your podcasts.